Welcome back to Daily English Dialogues, the podcast that helps you navigate the journey of language learning. I'm Mike.
And I'm Viki. It's lovely to have you with us today.
Today, we're diving into a topic that's often overlooked, but is absolutely fundamental to your success: the significant role of optimism in language acquisition.
That's right. We're not just talking about having a vague positive attitude. We're exploring the real, measurable impact that your mindset has on your brain's ability to learn. So, Mike, let's start with a question for our listeners. Have you ever felt that frustrating mental block when you're trying to speak or understand English?
You know, that feeling where the words just won't come out even though you know them? It's a universal experience for learners. But what if I told you that the key to unlocking that block is less about memorizing more vocabulary and more about how you think?
Exactly. It begins with the biology of the brain. When you approach learning with a supportive, curious mindset, your brain physically relaxes.
Uh-huh.
The amygdala, which is the brain's fear center, quiets down. This allows the prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for higher order thinking and learning, to function at its best.
So you're saying a happy brain is literally a more effective brain?
In essence, yes, it becomes more receptive, like a sponge ready to absorb new information. Now, contrast that with a mind clouded by fear or shame. Fear of making a mistake, shame about your accent, anxiety about being judged.
Right, all those negative emotions that creep in.
Those emotions trigger a fight or flight response. Your brain perceives the language challenge as a threat. The learning centers effectively shut down because your brain is too busy trying to protect you. You simply can't learn when you're in survival mode.
That makes so much sense. It explains why you freeze up when you're put on the spot. Your brain isn't trying to sabotage you, it's trying to save you from what it sees as a danger. So, knowing this, how can we actively shift from that fearful state to a more optimistic, learning-ready one?
An excellent question. It comes down to practical, conscious techniques. Let's start with one of the most powerful ones: thought swapping.
Thought swapping. I like the sound of that. How does it work?
It's about catching your negative self-criticism and actively replacing it with a more constructive, compassionate statement. Your internal dialogue is a habit, and like any habit, it can be changed with practice.
Okay, give me an example. Let's say a learner thinks, "My pronunciation is terrible. Everyone must think I sound foolish."
A perfect example. The thought swap would be to first acknowledge the feeling, then reframe it. You might change it to, "My pronunciation is a work in progress, and that's a normal part of learning. Each time I speak, I am practicing and getting clearer."
I see. So you're not denying the challenge, but you're changing your relationship with it. It goes from a statement of failure to a statement of process.
Precisely. Let's try another. What about the thought, "I will never understand this complex grammar rule"?
Okay, a thought swap could be, "This grammar rule is tricky, which means my brain is getting a great workout. I'll focus on understanding one small part of it today."
Brilliant. Do you feel how that immediately lowers the pressure? It turns an overwhelming wall into a single manageable step. This isn't about lying to yourself. It's about being a better coach to yourself. A good coach doesn't say, "You're terrible." They say, "Let's work on this together."
Your internal dialogue really does dictate your external performance. If you're constantly telling yourself you're failing, you're creating a self-fulfilling prophecy. You'll be too afraid to even try.
Which brings us to another beautifully simple but profound technique. It's a tiny word that can completely reframe your perception of progress. The word is yet.
Ah, the yet technique. I've heard of this. It's so powerful.
It is. It transforms a fixed mindset into a growth mindset. Instead of thinking, "I can't speak fluently," you add the magic word, "I can't speak fluently yet."
I don't understand native speakers yet. I'm not confident in conversations yet.
Yes, that one small word implies that your current state is temporary. It acknowledges the journey and opens the door to future possibility. It's a promise to yourself that you are still on the path.
It's the ultimate act of being kind to yourself as a learner, and that kindness is what fuels consistency. When you beat yourself up for making a mistake, you associate learning with pain, and you'll naturally want to avoid it.
That's such a critical point, Mike. Consistency is the single most important factor in language learning. You can have the best methods and materials in the world, but if you don't show up regularly, you won't progress.
Right, it's everything.
And self compassion is the engine of consistency. When you're kind to yourself, you give yourself permission to be imperfect. You understand that having a bad day doesn't mean you're a bad learner. So you're far more likely to come back to your studies tomorrow.
This also ties into building momentum. How can learners create a positive feedback loop to keep that optimistic energy going? That's a great point about self-compassion being the engine, but it can be hard to be your own cheerleader all the time. What about the role of other people? Does our environment and the community we learn with affect our optimism?
Two key strategies here. First, embrace simplicity. Don't feel you have to use complex grammar and sophisticated vocabulary from day one. The goal is communication, not perfection. Absolutely, Mike. The people you surround yourself with can either fuel your optimism or drain it. It's a concept from social psychology called social contagion. We subconsciously catch the emotions of those around us. If your learning partners are anxious and competitive, you're likely to absorb that negativity. But if they're supportive and encouraging, their positive energy is contagious.
That's a huge relief to hear. So it's crucial to find the right kind of study group or language exchange partner, someone who celebrates your progress, no matter how small, and who isn't afraid to make their own mistakes. That creates a safe space for everyone to grow.
It is. Using simple but correct grammar to express an idea is a huge victory. It builds confidence. Trying to use a complex structure and failing can reinforce that feeling of inadequacy. Start simple, build a solid foundation, and then add complexity over time.
Exactly. And it's not just about fellow learners, it's about your teachers, tutors, and even your friends and family. It's important to communicate your goals to them. Let them know that you need encouragement, not criticism. A simple, wow, your accent is really improving, can be more motivating than a dozen grammar corrections. And the second strategy? That reminds me of the online communities. Social media can be a double-edged sword. On one hand, you can find incredibly supportive groups of learners from all over the world. On the other, it's easy to fall into the comparison trap, seeing others who seem to be learning much faster than you are.
Totally. You have to acknowledge them. Don't just rush on to the next thing you can't do. Take a moment to say to yourself, hey, I did that. Good job. That positive reinforcement releases dopamine in your brain, making you want to do it again. You're hacking your own brain chemistry to support your learning.
So, the environment is just as important as the internal mindset. We've talked about self-talk, using yet, celebrating small wins, and now building a positive community. It's a holistic approach.
That's the perfect way to put it. You're actively designing a more enjoyable and effective learning process for yourself, all by mastering your mindset.
It really is. Think of it like building a house. Your mindset is the foundation, your study habits are the walls, and your community is the roof that protects you from the storms of self-doubt. You need all of them to be strong. All right, so let's recap for everyone listening. The journey to mastering language isn't just about what you learn, it's about how you think about your learning.
First, remember that a relaxed, positive mind is a brain that's primed to learn. Fear and anxiety literally block your progress.
Second, become your own coach. Practice thought swapping to turn harsh criticisms into constructive, kind observations.
Third, harness the incredible power of a tiny word, yet. It transforms dead-end statements into stepping stones on your journey.
And finally, build positive momentum by embracing simplicity and celebrating every single small victory along the way. Be kind to yourself.
Your challenge for this week is to pick just one of these techniques. Maybe you'll focus on adding yet to your thoughts, or perhaps you'll start a small journal of your daily language wins. See how it changes your experience.
That's all the time we have for today on Daily English Dialogues. Thanks for tuning in. Keep learning, stay positive, and we'll talk to you next time.